Natasha was prevented from having children. She has a learning disability and was sterilized against her will, and on the authority of the state, no less.
I think I would have been a good mother. I'd love to have had a daughter.
Sara from Portugal wants politicians to stop turning a blind eye and ban forced sterilizations in Europe once and for all.
What even makes me more angry is the fact that we are trying to bring this to awareness, and they know this is happening, and there's still so much silence and stigma and just inaction around this.
In at least 12 EU countries, women with disabilities are still being sterilized against their will. Sara is 3 months pregnant. She and her partner Ali are making the most of their time together before the baby comes along. Assistance dog Dilly is always at their side.
Dilly's gonna be jealous. It's not gonna be number one in the house anymore. Dilly!
Being an autistic mother with multiple disabilities, I think it's almost revolutionary a little bit, because the fact that I wear assistive devices, I wear hearing aids, I have an assistance dog, and I hope it changes a little bit the idea of what a mother should look like and what they should be.
Sara is hard of hearing and has autism, ADHD, and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder. And in Portugal, these can all be reasons to sterilize women against their will, often when they're still minors.
I have to do a lot of processing when I got pregnant, because I know a lot of autistic women that have the same disabilities as I am, and they were sterilized.
For people without disabilities, such a situation would be unthinkable. No one knows how many women in Portugal are affected. The issue has long been a social taboo, and there's no reliable data available. To bolster the rights of autistic women in Portugal, Sara and her best friend Raquel set up an association in 2020. The two women are among the first to publicly address forced sterilization in Portugal. They're calling for a legal ban on the practice, and to achieve this, they're working on a new social media campaign.
We're the founders of the association The Voice of Autistic People. Today we're going to update you on the current status of the campaign against forced sterilization.
Sara and Raquel hope their work won't just be a wake-up call for politics and media, but will also reach affected women.
Every story that we get more information about the ways that this is happening and how we can potentially prevent it. So the more we connect with more people all over the world, all over Europe, in Portugal, the more we can voice them.
Getting hold of testimonials from affected women is challenging, and Sara knows how many institutions don't want forced sterilization to be made public. This is because in most of these cases, the women's bodies were subjected to the decisions of others.
We're talking about human rights here, a total injustice. And personally, when it comes to injustice, I can't keep silent.
Portugal isn't the only EU nation where women with disabilities can be sterilized against their will. To this day, the procedure can still be carried out in at least 11 other countries. This also applies to minors in Portugal, the Czech Republic, and Hungary. In a bid to spotlight the consequences of forced sterilization, Sara is on a Europe-wide search for affected women. In Belgium, she found women who are willing to share their stories.
Bonjour, everyone. How are you?
Gaëlle, Véronique, and Natasha were sterilized without their consent. They're supported in the conversation by Danielle Tichon. She's familiar with the three women's stories. Veronique was 20 when her parents unexpectedly drove her to the hospital.
I was put to sleep straight away. No one explained to me why I was there.
And what did your parents say to you in the car on the way to the hospital?
It was about a birthmark.
When she saw the scars on her stomach, Veronique became suspicious. Often, victims only find out about the operation after it's happened, if at all. Natasha also had no idea what was being planned for her.
Ma maman prend la parole avec la gynéco.
My mum spoke to the gynecologist. I knew the gynecologist would ask me how I was doing, but nothing more than that. And then my mother told her I shouldn't have any children.
Pour que je n'ai pas d'enfants. Je suis désolée, mais...
I'm sorry.
Unlike Portugal, Belgium has expressly prohibited such procedures being done without the consent of those affected since 2013. Now it's even a criminal offense. Regardless, it's likely that thousands of women across Europe have suffered the same treatment as Natasha, Gaëlle, and Veronique.
I can't forget any story that was been told to me, because it's traumatizing, it's horrifying, it's almost, you can't imagine that this is happening. And then when you realize that this is happening, and it's bizarre.
For many years, these women in Belgium didn't speak openly about their experience. After their conversation with Sara, they're ready to share their stories on camera. Natasha attends drama group rehearsals every Friday, a chance for her to forget what's happened to her, for a while at least.
That weighs a ton.
The 39-year-old has a learning disability. She can read and write, but has a legal guardian.
Merci. Your survival is more important than anything else.
Natasha's been preparing for a big performance with her theater group for a long time. It's a brave step for her. Where she lives, the only creative activities on offer are painting and crafts.
When I came here, I discovered I could speak in public and do drama. We devised and wrote the whole play ourselves and discussed how we wanted to perform the scenes.
Natasha doesn't just share her passion for theater with her friend Monique. She also shares her pain. Monique was also sterilized against her will.
I hope young girls of the next generation will learn something from the past.
Yes, it's important, because I don't want them to have to go through what we did with forced sterilization.
Yes, it's awful.
So sad.
The memory is so painful, they rarely speak about it. Natasha was 24 at the time. She was on the pill, but her mother didn't think she'd ever be able to take care of a child. When Natasha had to have a cyst removed from her ovary, her mother convinced her to undergo sterilization.
When I saw the scars on my belly button, I understood. That was traumatic, a shock.
The doctor did explain that her fallopian tubes would be severed, but Natasha only realized the consequences later.
What really hurts is that I can't undo it. That sterilization is irreversible. What's left for me is a wound, to always remind me that I'll never have a child.
Doctors have a duty to provide clear information about the procedure. Natasha didn't want to be permanently infertile. She was deprived of her right to self-determination.
I think I would have been a good mother. I would have loved to have had a daughter.
No one knows for sure how many affected women there are in Belgium. It's a dark chapter that still hasn't been fully appraised. Forced sterilizations are also illegal in Germany. Since 2020, parents with disabilities have also had a legal right to receiving support. This supervised shared apartment in Berlin is a model project. It's home to Sunny and her 3-year-old son, Matteo.
Look, you can put that in there as well. There's the train. It goes in the box too, my little honey bun.
Sunny and her son, Matteo, have been living here for 18 months, supported by a team of social workers, educators, and teachers.
Do you need support, Sunny? Sunny, do you need help? Are you messing around? Just having fun? If you need help, let me know.
Matteo was very much wanted by Sunny, who spends every free minute with him.
I play with him a lot. I like reading books with him, for example. It always depends on him. It doesn't come from me so much.
Sunny, who's from Berlin, wasn't born with a disability. A car accident when she was small left her with a learning disability as well as hearing loss. Supervisor Susanna Teagues visits them both almost daily and supports the parenting journey.
Do you know which train works? This one? One of them works.
You have to help Susanna, sweetheart.
Susanna often suggests ideas for games and shared activities. And she helps Sunny with any issues as part of a concept called accompanied parenting.
Here, mothers with intellectual disabilities who wouldn't otherwise be able to manage on their own can live with their children. Because it's also important that the mother gets help with other things that don't concern the child, such as dealing with the government agencies, opening and reading mail, paying bills, doctor's visits, things like that. And that's exactly the right mix.
But for Susanna, this is no reason to doubt the 34-year-old's ability to be a mother.
Every woman can and should be a mother, and should receive the right support to make it possible, because every mother has the resources to live with her child, even if she's not alone, and those resources should be used to facilitate this with the support of the mother. Every mother.
The model is tailored to the individual needs of each family. Housing projects like this one are financed by youth welfare and social service agencies.
The most important thing really is that you see that the child is loved. And that's definitely the case with the mothers here. Everything else can be learned and changed.
The mother can stay in the apartment until Matteo turns 18. Back in Portugal, Sara is visiting her sister and her mother Marcia. She's excited about her first grandchild. Sara has brought along some new ultrasound images to compare them with Marcia's, taken when she was pregnant with Sara.
Look at the hand.
Here's the head, the nose, and the little hand. And here's the body.
Marcia noticed early on that her daughter behaved differently to other children. But Sara's autism wasn't identified until she was an adult.
I feel like I was lucky to be diagnosed later in life. So my mother was not put into a position of you should do this. This is what autistic people should have. This should be sterilized.
To this day, many parents of children with learning disabilities or autism are encouraged to agree to sterilization. This is often done under the pretext of the child's best interests.
I find that presumptuous. I don't have the right to decide something like that. I'm her mother, not her owner.
In Berlin, Sara plans to address the European Regional Summit for People with Disabilities and thus increase international pressure on her home country so that forced sterilizations are finally banned there.
It's been years that we're fighting this, and the law still doesn't change. So this is what even makes me more angry, is the fact that we are trying to bring this to awareness, and they know this is happening, and there's still so much silence and stigma and just inaction around this.
As signatories to the Istanbul Convention, most EU countries have committed to protecting women from violence.
That's great.
For Sara, this clearly doesn't apply to women with disabilities. That's why she's now looking for fellow campaigners from all over Europe to combat this injustice.
We're fighting for the same things.
Yeah, we are. So let's. Is there any way we could be in touch or contact?
Yeah, of course. You can email me.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you. So
nice to meet you.
And well done on the. Yeah, very grateful. All right, let's go find some lunch.
Sara isn't just aiming for a forced sterilization ban in Portugal, but also in other EU nations where the procedure is still officially legal.
The more pressure we put into other countries to change their laws, the more pressure we put in our countries to change it as well. Because once Portugal starts becoming the only country that is allowing this offense practice to continue, then they feel more ashamed of the practice that they are implementing.
Malta finally banned forced sterilizations in 2024.
Sara, please join us.
Now, Sara's hoping that other countries will follow suit. To that end, today she's addressing other activists from more than 30 nations.
I had the privilege of hearing the stories of a woman with intellectual disabilities that was sterilized against her will because she left menstrual period on her family's bed. An autistic woman who was 18 years old when her family made her believe autistic women were unable to care for children, so she had to be sterilized. Both of them dreamed of becoming mothers.
The 34-year-old doesn't just want to give a voice to the women who have confided in her. For Sara, the fight has long become a personal mission.
As an autistic woman myself and 3 months pregnant, I can't imagine having my dream of motherhood and my choice. I can't imagine having my dream of motherhood and my choice to be taken away from me.
Sara's campaign goes on, in the hope that the practice will be banned in Portugal before the birth of her own child. Back in Belgium, Natasha was denied the opportunity to start a family. But she's found a space to talk about her trauma.
I was just sad.
You were sad?
There was an angry phase, and then came a lot of sadness.
Here, the 39-year-old processes what happened to her with other affected women. A safe space without pressure from parents or institutions.
Here with Danielle, I was able to talk openly about my feelings, despite all the emotions, and that helps me to let go of all my grief, as well as my anger.
For a long time, Natasha was told that the procedure was in her own interests. Association founder Danielle Tichon makes it clear to the women, you're not to blame. That lies with a system that doesn't provide for parenthood with disabilities.
I see it as a societal political problem. It requires political will to say we accept and welcome the children of people with intellectual disabilities and will put the necessary measures in place.
For Danielle, the fact that women are now going public with their experiences is a crucial step forward. They want to raise awareness of the issue.
Je souhaiterais que les futures jeunes filles
I hope that young women won't have to experience this in future, that they'll have the choice to say yes or no.
Je ne veux pas ça.
Are you tired?
In Berlin, Sunny's getting better at recognizing her son's needs and consistently responding to these. She wasn't always able to spot if Matteo was hungry or tired.
Es gibt eigentlich fast immer irgendwelche Situationen.
There are often situations or conflicts where I have to keep an eye on things. I handle them quite well, but it did take me a little while to get there. Thankfully, my supervisors always reassured me that I was doing everything right and that I didn't need to worry that something would happen, for example.
Sunny and Matteo share a small flat with a kitchenette and bathroom. This means Sunny can manage independently and help is there if she needs it. Supervisors visit on weekdays and they're on call 24/7.
That's hot.
Genau.
Can you blow on it?
Every 6 months, the Youth Welfare Agency consults with Sunny to review the level of required support. Today, she's proud to be able to show, not only to herself, but to everyone else as well, that she's a good mom.
I can't imagine life without Matteo anymore, because we've just got such a strong bond. There are challenging moments, for sure, but I know that I love my child, and he feels it too. The most important thing for me at the moment is my child, and everything else takes a back seat for now.
No?
A few months later in Lisbon, Sara is now 7 months pregnant, and her cause is up for debate by the country's lawmakers. The Portuguese Parliament is preparing to vote on a forced sterilization ban. Today, she's addressing a public hearing.
A boy or a girl?
A boy, Luca.
Sara now knows many of the delegates. Her persistence has put the issue on the political agenda. Today, she aims to convince parliamentarians that forced sterilization is a clear violation of human rights and that a ban is long overdue.
Once I started working this years ago, people didn't even heard about forced sterilization in Portugal. They didn't know that this was still happening. And now we are here in literally the Democracy House discussing the possibility of passing a bill.
Sara played a key role in drafting the bill. She worked on the text together with MP Isabel Pires.
After talking to her and after reading all the documents and studies that she sent us, we started working on this bill.
For Sara, the hearing is a historic moment. It's the first time that Parliament has debated a ban on the practice. But only a few MPs are present in the chamber today. Many politicians still won't acknowledge the importance of the issue to those affected.
I've heard the stories of dozens of women who, unlike me, are not allowed to become mothers. Until this human rights violation becomes a criminal offence in Portugal, I'm not going anywhere. An end to violence disguised as protection of life. Thank you.
A few days later, Sara hears that the parliamentary vote was postponed at short notice. A new date has yet to be set. Sara has no choice but to wait patiently and fight on.
I don't see it as a job. I see it as part of my community. It's just kind of what I have to do.
I've always been proud of Sara, even before she was doing what she's doing, but even more so now. What she does is incredible. She spends all of her spare time trying to help other people.
Also, as a mother, Sara wants to continue campaigning for a world in which women with disabilities are heard and seen.
Hopefully one day it will be illegal in every country in Europe and hopefully the world. But then we have so much more to do. And I don't think we will ever stop, and I don't think I will ever see us getting completely supported to be mothers in my generation. But I hope that my kids is able to get that support if it has a disability.